Computer. Hello. Welcome to this special Poetry City Live event for the year. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank all those who have been part of I think we had 10 events this year, because I think we missed one in January, I believe. But yeah, it's been such an awesome year. We've covered 40 over 40 poems from 2 different potential book projects, which represent the frameworks that I use to underpin the pillars, the 4 pillars of transformation. The idea of transformation being transformation that starts from within out. And the idea is that we're not focusing on circumstances, we're focusing on how we experience those circumstances. And if we transform how we see those circumstances, and we come to understand the relationship we have with our minds and have a more healthy relationship with our minds, we can transform those. And we can experience life in a much more fulfilling way and achieve higher performance, because your mind is not working against you, it's working for you. And that's all part of the space framework and the lead framework that we covered. So today it's about reflecting on 2023 and seeing how that could help us prepare for 2024. So, like I said, I mean, most of you know me already anyway, but for the benefit of those who are watching this, my name is Frank Bolaji Irawa. I call myself a transformation coach for the very reason I've just described. I help people transform from the inside out and allow the best of who they are, what they are, to flow. And today, we're going to be getting clear on what 2023 was like, connecting with the transformation that we've experienced, collaborating with the universe in all its forms, and creating poetry that articulates. So I hope you've got something to write with, because we'll be creating some poetry there. Our journey today, we're going to close out 2023 with reflections, create a poetic portrait, and contemplate 2024 journey. And you're going to see we're going to, with each phase of the close, we're going to be reflecting on, okay, how does this help us prepare for 2024? And I'll be at the end sharing opportunities in which you can obtain support for that journey into 2024, if that's something that you choose to have support with. Okay, so first things first, I want you to think of the year 2023. And if that year were a book or a movie, what would the title of that movie or book be? So that's your first thing. And I've got some prompts for you. Ignore the poetry for now. We'll come back to that. Here's some things to help you. Metaphor. You could use names, animals, weathers, or objects. The title could be like a metaphor for the year. You could also incorporate in that your most prevalent emotion, most significant events, most common themes for the year. Those are all things that could help you come up with that title. Again, don't overthink it. The idea here is not necessarily to get anything perfect. It's just to capture a sense of how you feel about the year. And as you're going to find out later, we're going to come back to this and see if anything shifted at the end of what we're doing. And I will... So I'm going to give you a minute on that. Hey, Muriel, welcome.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hi, Muriel.
Hi.
You're going to need something to write with, Muriel. If you haven't got something to write with, might be great stuff. So what we're doing at the moment is, if your year 2023 were a book or a movie, what would you call it? And you've got some metaphors that you can work with: animal, weather, object, most prevalent emotion, any significant events, most common themes. You can incorporate any of those into that. Right, so that's going to be all right. So I'm going to read the piece because I want to reflect on that a bit before we move on to the next part of what we're doing. This is called Traveling Inside, and it's just to give us some kind of context to what we're doing today. Learning about all things new, seeing the things I never knew, changing and evolving in the sinew of my mind. I am no longer the one that you knew before this information went in, showing up a different being, all because of what's new. I'll read that again. Traveling inside, learning about all things new, seeing the things I never knew, changing and evolving in the sinew of my mind. I'm no longer the one that you knew before this information went in, showing up a different being, all because of what's new. So again, because of kind of the stuff we have to cover today, we're going to be slightly more punchy with these. Does anything come to mind quickly about this? What comes to mind when you read that or hear that?
Can you say well just one more time for me, please? Sorry.
Yeah. Can you see, it's on the screen at the moment.
Is
Learning
it?
about all
Oh,
things new,
I have to
seeing the
get my
things I never knew, changing and evolving in the sinew of my mind. I'm no longer the one that you knew before this information went in, showing up a different being, all because of what's new.
It's not showing up on my screen, but
Okay. Anybody else on this?
I was just thinking the other day, I've still got a lot to learn, so I'm learning every day.
That's
Um,
beautiful. Are you going to say something else? Sorry, Maria.
no, just that I have a lot to learn, but I hope I learn the right things.
Ah, yes, indeed.
I guess there's a saying somewhere. Well, I don't know if it's in scripture, but it says the closer you get to God, the more wisdom you get. So maybe that's the answer. Yeah.
Yeah, we will get what we need. It's just that attitude that you've just reflected there, Muriel, of being open.
Mm-hmm.
What we need is here for us to learn and grow from.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah. I'm certainly no longer the one that I was before.
why?
But I'm not so sure that's good or bad because I've had two grandchildren recently tell me I'm very annoying. I say, "You're so annoying, Nan." I just pray I can annoy them into heaven.
Like that. I like that. I like that. Right. So, yeah, go on, my dear.
I would say I know myself a little bit more.
Right. Yes,
I trust myself a little bit more.
I like that.
I'm okay. It's really me.
I love it. I love it. I love that. That whole, yeah. And it's just pointing to this idea that actually, as we reflect and look at things and we begin to ponder what's happening, we begin to recognize how we've changed and transformed. And some of the prompts we're going to use today is going to be delving into in what ways has what has happened this year and the things we've experienced this year and the amount of reflection we've done this year transformed who we are and how we are approaching the next day that presents itself to us. And that kind of is
I was gonna say something.
Yeah, go on.
But first, apologize because I think I've got issue with my Skype connection. Actually, I've got just booked an engineer to come in tomorrow, so
Yeah.
there's some freezing. I didn't hear what the last lady said, but so just bear with me. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think in just in line with what said earlier, I think it's more of a realization that things and circumstances and our experiences actually change us, and
Mhm.
it's important to consciously be aware that we're actually changing and being able to take stock
Yeah.
of such changes because it's happening
Yeah.
and we may not be aware of it. So for me, that's really been my story really. It's more taking stock that things are happening and I need to be conscious of the impact of the changes it's making to me, whether positive or negative.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. And that's kind of a lot of what coaching does really is to create a space where people can do that sort of work. Because I think sometimes the way we live life, we're just kind of going from one day to the other and not necessarily creating that space because it feels like that space is wasted because we're judging ourselves on the basis of what we achieve. But the quality of what we achieve can be highly enriched when we take the time. It's like sharpening the axe twice as long in order to cut for half as much long. So that kind of is the idea there. So it's one of the great values of having that kind of support really is the ability to travel inside and understand. Also, it's kind of a speaking into the whole idea of transformation, because that's the idea that actually your greatest transformation has happened from within you, because the way you interface with the world depends really much on what's been going on within you. Right. Okay. So let's now go into so close is a framework. And you know I love my frameworks. And it's a framework for reflecting on the year that has gone past. And you can use this for anything, a project. You can use it, there's so many ways you can use it. So the C stands for celebrations. And the question really is celebrations that made you go hooray. So the things that gave you joy, the things that made you think, wow, those are the things we're reflecting on. And here are some prompts to help you. Think about great achievements that you are proud of. Think about significant things that you've completed. And significant things you did in service of others. Something, events, or person or mentor you're most grateful for. So I read that again. Greatest achievement that you're proud of, significant things you've completed, significant things you did in service of others, something, event, or person or mentor that you're most grateful for. I'm going to give you 3 minutes. And the prompt from that is celebrations that made me go, yay. And then you kind of go. So remember here, you're writing your poetic piece. Don't overthink it. So each framework, you start with C, celebrations that made me go hooray, and then you write whatever it is that those celebrations are. And by the time you're done, you have 5 stanzas of a poem, basically. But it doesn't have to rhyme or anything like that. Don't think about any of that. Just the important thing is to capture these elements of 2023 so that at the end you can see and go, wow, okay, that's. And hi, Raquel. I'm sorry I failed to acknowledge your entry into the into the room there. Welcome. You got 20 seconds left. Great achievements that you are proud of, significant things you completed, significant thing you did in service of others, something, event, or person or mentor you're most grateful for. Right. Okay. So, anybody want to share what's come up for them? What are you celebrating? You don't have to read all of it, just some of it. Just especially stuff that you thought, wow, okay, I didn't really, that just came up. Anything?
Yeah, I'll go.
Yeah.
So I couldn't see your screen because I'm using my phone. So
Okay.
pardon me if I'm all over the place. But in terms of me, it's more of being able to share my experience. I mean, having been on the coaching course, you
Yeah.
know, and now I'm now being a mentor,
Right.
or and being able to interestingly share my experience, which is not so different. I mean, for my mentees, you
Right.
know, able to actually positively share my experience with them, and also learning. And you think I thinking I've actually gotten there yet, but actually realize that I'm actually learning more as I'm actually sharing my experience with my mentee, and
Oh,
that's
I like
really
that. Okay.
very rewarding.
Yeah.
And the other thing is being valued as as a manager, and that's more of being able to position myself, no longer being a victim,
Right.
but now position where I'm so valued. Now the aftermath is now trying to deal with the demands, because then you think it's all done now, it's a cycle, so
Right.
then it's all the same, now learning again to deal with the aftermath of it, which is very exciting, because then I mean my experience now position me in a better place to actually deal with the new experiences that's coming from it.
I love that. I love that.
That's
And
okay.
yeah, and something that's worth kind of pointing out there is the idea that the support you got to enter into that space, you're able to pass that on. So you're investing back into others, and I think that's beautiful. Okay. So here's the setup for 2024. If you're able to properly reflect on what you celebrated this year, then that gives you foundation of hope, positive expectations that if this happened for me in 2023, think what's possible in 2024. And a humble trust that the universe or God, depending on what your framework is, has your back. That no matter, and you think about maybe coming into 2023, what you might have thought, would this be possible? And now look, 2023, these are the things you're celebrating. Then beginning to think, wow, what else could you be celebrating in 2024? So it's almost like in 2024, what do you want to be celebrated? So that's the setup for 2024. Right. So we're going to move on to the next part of the framework, which is learnings for growth. So we've talked about what your celebration. Now, what did you learn from what the experiences you had in 2024? Just like the piece we were talking about. And this begins to point towards the transformation that you experienced. One thing that is worth saying here as well is that very often if the mind focuses most on what's either most significant or what is most recent. And part of it doing that means that if you're not careful, Daya, you coming in again on another device, is that right? You're on mute, by the way. Yeah, it's gone. Right, anyway. So the point I was making was that if you don't if you're not careful, then if something more negative happened towards the end of the year, there's a tendency to feel that the whole year was negative. But actually, what part of what this space allows us to do is to have the whole year in context, so that then you begin to see over that, oh, wait a minute, look at all that I've experienced over this year and how I'm different. because the brain then takes a new baseline, and sometimes you don't recognize the growth in yourself. Right. So you're going to start a new stanza of your poetic portrait, and this starts with learnings that came to stay. Learnings that came to stay. And what are the prompts for learnings that came to stay? Here's the things we're reflecting on. What you learned about yourself. What you learned about others. New skills you have acquired. Something you learned from a mentor. So what you learned about yourself, what you learned about others, new skills you've acquired, and something you've learned from a mentor. Now, you don't have to cover all of these. I'm just sharing all these with you to give you ideas to prompt your thinking. Once your thinking gets flowing, don't second guess it. Just keep writing whatever comes to you. Right. I'm going to give you 3 minutes. So you've had your celebrations. Now we're talking about learnings. What have you learned in 2023? What you learned about yourself, what you learned about others, new skills you acquired, something you learned from a mentor.
Well, I would say,
Yeah?
sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I would say that what I've learned about myself is that I'm more resilient than I thought I was.
Yeah. So we're going to share those at the end. You're going to get to share yours, actually. So we'll earmark you, but let others finish writing what that is for them, and then we'll share what we've got. But yeah, I hear you definitely on that, Claudette. And for those who will be watching this on playback, please do follow these prompts and create your own piece. And feel free to share with me. I will be only too delighted to hear from you what transformation you've had this year. Thirty seconds to go. All right. Okay. So yes, Claudette, you're going to share with us what came up for you.
I was just that I'm more resilient than I thought.
Mm.
And I think one of the greatest tools I've been able to use is the reflection, to be able to stop and give myself that space and to stop and reflect,
Mm.
rather, take away some of the busyness out of my life.
Right.
and actually sit with myself.
Mm.
Yeah. And those are some of the skills that I've learned from others, and that it's okay to sit with myself, and you know, and that's the only way really I'm going to get to know who I am and stop looking out there.
I love it.
Because who I am is not out there, it's here.
I love that.
In me already.
I love that. That's so beautiful. Yeah. And that was one of the things in the space framework that we went through, wasn't it? That whole idea that, you know, it all starts within, and when you create that space to reflect, like you say, then you begin to really understand what works and what doesn't work for you. And you begin to detect when things are happening or you're processing things in a way that's unhelpful for yourself. You're able to reset. Yeah. Thanks for sharing that. Anybody quickly? We can take one more. Okay, let's do the setup for 2024 then. So, having looked at what you've learned in 2023, going into 2024, it's about...
So I was going to say something, but I was on mute.
No, go on. Yeah.
Sorry about that. Yeah. Quickly. Yeah, I think for me, what I've learned about myself is more that I'm actually more confident, really.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think that's going to realize, and I'm smarter too.
Yeah.
That's self-awareness. And the other thing in terms of other people, it's more of because I think previously, I kind of assumed in terms of people's thoughts or they think about me, and so I tend to react or act based on what I think people think about me. So I've not overthink on that, and I kind of open up and say no, maybe not, and naturally impacted on my able to respond to different scenarios and different things. In terms of new skills, I communicate much better now in a controlled manner.
Okay.
And have more control, so I can communicate much better. And also not being a victim of what do you call that? Something you learned as I mean, something I've learned is more from how not to present to this. Yeah, in terms of better way to I've learned that the way I present myself to others is the way they will receive me.
Right.
So I now be very conscious of how I present myself, and yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I love that. That's beautiful. There's so much stuff in there. And this is the thing, isn't it? That we're so capable of so much more than we've experienced so far, because the full essence, there's infinite potential in us, is my full idea. And once we get out of our own way and we develop this helpful relationship with our minds, those things begin to flow from the inside out, because they're there already. They didn't come from somewhere else outside, like Claudette was saying earlier. They all come from within you. But it's just that you've not allowed yourself to be in that position where they need to come out. When you take those steps that put you in those situations that you need to use more wisdom, you need to use more confidence, you need to use, those things will show up because they're already within you. So thanks for sharing that. So the setup for 2024 is that, you can actually set learning intentions for the following year. When you recognize how much you've learned this year, then think of the opportunities for learning next year. And how do you put yourself in the kind of situations that will allow you to learn? Seek to stretch. That is the point there. So it's at the point at which you need to do something either you've not done before, or to the extent that you've not done before. That is the extent to which you're going to grow. That is the extent to which learnings will come out. And then the other thing you can do is invest in shortening the cycle. And this is something that a lot of people don't reflect on enough. When you work with mentors, or you work with a coach, or you work with people who already have skills in a certain area, they can shorten your learning space. So what you can fumble around and learn for yourself in 2 years, actually you could learn in 2 or 3 months if you work with somebody who already had the skills, understood how to do it, and could support you through that. So that's the other setup there. Okay. So we come to O. So this is a new stanza of our poetic portrait for 2023. We're talking about opportunities. Opportunities. And what do we mean by that? Opportunities that came your way. So here's how I want us to reflect on this. Opportunities you said yes to and why, right? Opportunities you said no to and why. The significant risks you took, right? And opportunities to support or mentor others. So this is the reflection here. In 2023, reflect on the opportunities you said yes to and why, opportunities you said no to and why, the significant risk you took, any risks that you feel, wow, I really took a chance there, but whatever, it worked out, it didn't work out, whatever the case may be, opportunities to support or mentor others. I give you 3 minutes, starting now. And anybody who's watching this on the recording, do follow along. It's a great tool to have a reflective piece that you can look at for your year. Thirty seconds remaining. Right, there we go. Anybody want to share what's come up for them when we're talking about opportunities? I'll share mine. So I had the opportunity to
Talking to myself again.
you were talking, were you?
Sorry.
That's fine. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. Yes. It's an interesting one. Because in terms of the opportunity, I've said yes to. That's an easy
Yeah.
one because I tend to say yes to too many things. Maybe that's where I need to manage. but there was an opportunity to chair a minority network in my organization. It's been
Okay.
that no one wants to do it. So, and for many reasons, because of what comes with it. So, but I think the experience I had in last year, then that kind of prompted me because I believe that there are others who can benefit from my experience having gone through and come out. So I did say yes to it, even though it's going to be challenging because of there's so much attached to it. But I thought I just can't not do something about it or help.
Right.
You know? So I just decided that, well, I did try to say, let's have maybe many people, like 2 co-chair or something like that, 3 co-chair. So at least, but yeah, nobody wants it, kind of a bit toxic, but I believe I could do something and help in it. So I volunteered for that. And that's about a couple of months ago. And I've kind of seen the reward that's coming out of it in terms of people being touched. I'll stop. In terms of when I've said no to, I don't have one in particular, but interesting, not too long ago, my group chief decided that's going to move me to another team, another business. And when you, because I've been in this core team for years, about 10, 15 years, and that's my specialty area, and then all of a sudden moved me to another team, and I resisted that because I thought, this what's going to happen, this, it's like going backward, and because I couldn't see the opportunity. So I resisted it. If I said no, and I said, go pray, go think about it. And I prayed about it. So I came back. And then eventually I said yes to it.
Right.
But the no was more because I couldn't see. And I thought it's going to just draw me backward. It's a new team and different things anyway. But now I said yes. And then when I said yes, something changed in me.
Interested.
See something different that I couldn't see when I was locked into the no.
Oh, now you're preaching. That is beautiful. That in fact, what you've just shared there, there's so much to it that if we had time, I'd really unpack it. But just quickly, I'd say it's interesting that the opportunity was an opportunity, period. The question is how you experienced it transformed depending on whether you said yes or no, and you're saying yes or no depending on what your highest value is. So when it's the thought that I'm going to lose something, and at the moment when you're thinking that, it feels like that's the truth of it. But when you change your perspective and thought, what are the opportunities in it? Then you began to see it. And that's part of why we're doing what we're doing today, is that if we go into 2024 with that, what are the opportunities there? We're more likely to see what those are. But the reason I'm saying why you're saying it is that you want ones that align to your value. So if your value is to grow and develop, and all of a sudden you see that this new opportunity will allow you to grow and develop, then it's a yes, because that's your value, that's what you're going for. If your value is to stay safe and just to do what you're comfortable with, then it's a no, right? But we know that the growing, which is the learning that we did in the previous part of it, will not happen if you're comfortable. Learning happens in the place where there's the sense of discomfort, where there's a sense of, can I do it? Can I not do it? Well, the only way to discover if you can do it, and discover like you did that, oh, well, look, I've got more confidence than I thought. I've got more this than I thought, is to put yourself in those places where you're slightly uncomfortable and you're about to discover something about yourself. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I need more help next year then.
Well, there you go then. That's what I'm here. That's what I'm here for. Right, set up for 2024. So going to what I've just shared then, how does this help you for 2024? Get very clear on what your values are. What's your most important value? Because that will help you know which opportunities to say yes or no to, right? Because if they align with your values, then it's a yes. If they don't align with your values, then it's a no. Design opportunity criteria. So what opportunities am I going to say yes to? What do they look like? What are the elements of them? So you design that. And then finally, seek opportunities. So be on the lookout for opportunities. And once you're open to them, amazingly, you see them everywhere. Because what we need to understand is our brains, there's too much information out there for us to process consciously, right? So our subconscious is constantly scanning and filtering out what it thinks is not important to us. This is what is called the reticular activating system. RAS is called. And that's why when you go and buy a car, all of a sudden you start seeing that car all over the place, because now you've invested in the car. Your subconscious then goes, okay, this matters to us. And then you begin to see people didn't just go out and start buying that car, right? but you know, it's just that it wasn't important to you, so it's been filtered out. It's the same thing with opportunities. Opportunities will be filtered out that your subconscious believes are not important to you. But once you define what your values are and what kind of opportunities you're looking for, that would help you grow, develop, make the most, discover more about yourself, whatever that may be, then all of a sudden your filter opens up to begin to see them. They're always there. I mean, if you look at a recession, some people make more money in a recession than any other time. But for some people, a recession is the worst possible time. For some people, it's the best possible time. And for each of them, it's true. Right? So opportunities are everywhere, but how you are positioned internally determines what you see. Does that make sense? I know I'm doing a lot of talking today. I wouldn't normally be doing this much talking, but it's just the purpose of this particular session is to really help people see the value of this, especially those who might not be physically present. At the end, hopefully we'll get space to do some talking and stuff. Okay. Surprises. Surprises, surprises. Life is full of surprises.
Yeah.
In 2023, what surprises came to play? So, unexpected benefits, unexpected challenges, serendipity in action. And for those who might not know what serendipity is, those are those kind of happenstance, those kind of coincidences. You know, this just happened to happen at the time when this person happened to show up, when this happened to do this. And it's like, I couldn't have made that happen. That just kind of yeah. Surprises beyond control. Situations outside your control, ways in which you surprised yourself. So again, that might tie into some of the stuff we've looked at as well. No. All right, give you 3 minutes to contemplate and write that down. What are unexpected benefits you experienced in 2023? Unexpected challenges, serendipity in action, situations outside your control that occurred, ways in which you surprised yourself. Oh, another one I could have put here is ways in which other people surprised you, actually, thinking about it. Update. Thirty seconds left. Right. Okay, who would like to share what surprises 2023 has delivered this year?
Okay, I'll just briefly say, I mean, I've touched on some of them earlier, but in terms of so that was the question. But yeah, in terms of benefits, really, yeah, I think it's more. I've been so valued,
Mm,
you know, this year than I've ever been, and that really surprised me. You know, so of course that comes with more responsibility, but that's really been, you know, that made me feel happier. You know, more.
mm,
You know, and kind of so the challenges really that the challenges was more of some of the things I mentioned earlier about volunteering for some of those things which I would never even be part of it and volunteer that would be in a chair, you know.
mm,
So that's really but then the challenges that came along with that, you know, it's more of you know, I work as an audit manager, but then, you know, in a place where I've had to do two people's role in a
mm,
year, which was very challenging.
mm.
But I surprised myself in terms of how I could manage it, and
Okay.
that's also in being more in control, being able to challenge the status quo, being able to push back, being able to influence decisions, which was
Mm,
very interesting. And eventually, I was able to influence a lot of the decisions, you know, during this year, which was really surprising to me. And but just see how, you know, I've changed over the year. But then finally, it's more of I've surprised myself. I've become more of an advocate, which is more of
okay.
you know, which I never used to. I'm more like, you know, a little bit, you know, quiet, but more become kind of advocate and stepping up and speaking my mind and, you know, in a nice way. I
Mm,
think there's this phrase I love, you know, God gave me this ability to accept the things that cannot change,
mm.
courage to change the things that cannot, wisdom to know the difference, you know, and that's really helped me a lot to managing some of the, excuse me, sorry. So some of the things I go to in terms of knowing how to what to accept and, you know the difference, right?
Right. Yeah, and that speaks to this idea of control, which I'll talk about when we're doing the setup for 2024. But I'm kind of conscious that obviously thank you very much for sharing that actually. Does anybody else want to share what I mean, just one or two things, doesn't have to be all of them that's come up in surprises?
I think I was surprised. I made a commitment
Mm-hmm.
um to do something
Mm-hmm.
physical
Mm-hmm.
that I've struggled all previous years to commit myself to doing.
Mm-hmm.
But this year,
Mm.
I was able to commit myself to doing it for most of this year. And
Ah,
I'm and that really surprised me
ah.
because this year, um, in regards to previous years,
Mm.
I would have thought I was in a better position way back to do it than I would be now.
I understand you. Yeah. Okay.
So, and the benefits have been overall benefits,
Yeah.
physically, emotionally, mentally, everything.
Right.
Um, Unexpected challenges, yes, but instead of giving up, I've just found ways to overcome the challenges
Uh-huh.
and just keep going.
Right.
So, in terms of that, I'm just surprised myself.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And all of this speaks to the fact that we as human beings have, there's no way to know the extent to which, and I believe is infinite, the potential in all of us. And it's only when those situations and circumstances present themselves that we begin to discover about those things that are in us already. So it's just so heartwarming to hear all how we're surprising ourselves with all this. And that's just beautiful. So the setup for 2024 is number one, to confront the illusion of control. What do I mean by this? I mean that if we look back at 2023 and recognize that all these things happened that we didn't control, but yet we're here, we're okay, and in some cases surprised ourselves, then do we really need to go into 2024 trying to control things? or maybe it's the opportunity 2024 presenting us, is the opportunity to get comfortable with the idea that actually we don't control things, but we'll still be okay, because in us is what is required for us to be able to deal with whatever those things may be, based on the experience we had in 2023. So we're learning from 2023 in order to give us a better disposition to which to go into 2024, to encounter a year where most of the things that will occur will be out of our control, and for us to be okay with that. So that's the expect and prepare for surprises. Again, this one really had one eye on if you were surprised by things that then needed to spend money that you didn't have, quote unquote, maybe 2024 might be the year to start putting some money aside every month to be able to deal with stuff that's going to be out of your control, right? So that's what I meant by prepare. Prepare also is mental preparation, that I know surprises will come, and when they come, this is how I want to show up to them. I want to embrace them. I want to ask myself the question, how can I make the most of this? What can I learn from this? And so on. And then again, just trust that, you know, universe, God has your back, that you're going to be okay. Yeah. So that's the setup for that. So I was going to do this piece, but in the interest of time, I'll just read it, but we probably won't necessarily spend too much time on it. This is called Painful Blessing. I feel the pain. The pain is real. It arrests my attention till it feels like it's all there is. When it is less raw, I catch a glimpse of the blessings it brings. I hear the whisper of the lessons it bears. I feel gratitude for all that is in service of me. I'll read it again. Painful blessing. I feel the pain. The pain is real. It arrests my attention till it feels like it's all there is. When it is less raw, I catch a glimpse of the blessings it brings. I hear the whisper of the lessons it bears. I feel gratitude for all that is in service of me. That's really just a call to say, whatever you've experienced this year, that's, because let's be real, there's stuff that we've experienced that have not been pleasant, right? But the question is, how do we, once we've gone through the pain of that, do we then look at the blessings? Do we then look at the lessons? And do we then look at, okay, where next? And this is what this one is for. E, final paragraph. And I'm going to call out, we are on the hour mark. It's going to go on for maybe another 10 minutes. So if you're able to stay, that's good. If you have to go, I fully appreciate that. So this is the final stanza. This is endings for new beginnings. And this, that endings that made a way. Here's what this is talking about. That for every ending, there's a new beginning, if we look for it. If we focus just on the ending and don't look to the new beginning, then that doesn't kind of give us the opportunity to leverage what has ended and look forward to what is about to come. So what are the prompts? Aspects or phase of your life that has come to an end in 2023. Relationships that may have come to an end in 2023. The ways in which you grieve. And grief is not just that someone died. Grief could be that what ended, what you lost something that was dear to you, whatever that may be. People or things you lost. Anything that came in their place. So if you're already recognizing that that ended, but this started, then again, make that part of the narrative. If you're not yet clear on what is going to start, that's fine too. But it's just really beginning to tease out. Maybe we're beginning to notice that even as one thing has ended, something else has come up to replace it, or something else. It has made room for something else to show up. Relationships, ways in which you grieve, people or things you lost, anything that came in their place. So. Right, you got 3 minutes. All right, 30 seconds to go. Right. Okay. Who wants to share quickly what's come up for them? What has ended for you in 2023? What has it made way for? How have you grieved the loss and where are you now with it? Anyone?
I mean, briefly, I'll just say, for me, it's more of relationships in terms of friends or families, because I tend to go to Africa a lot, and I got things I want to achieve there, but I realized that there are some relationship that needs to be reprioritized or in a position, and that was difficult because then
Mm,
it's people involved there. So, but I had to assess the situation in terms of the value, and
mm,
and I think in terms of dealing with it, I just communicated. I was just being honest and frank with them in many
mm,
ways, and because of course, and over time, even though they were initially not happy about it, and these are friends or families,
mm,
because they would say, "Oh, you're not calling," but then later on, they came to realize that. Yes, what I'm saying and what I'm doing is really right, and they just
right.
have to, and they can't be the center of everything.
Mm,
So, and that's really helped me a lot in terms of being more attentional focus on if that's what I want to do next year.
mm.
Also, it's really give me the time to refocus.
Yeah. And I love that idea of not just making that decision internally, but actually having the courage to communicate with the person that this is what's happening. I don't think not everybody necessarily do. I mean, even I myself, I'm thinking, would I even do that? Would I feel comfortable doing that? I'm thinking that to myself. So I want to celebrate you for doing it that way because I think there's a lot of integrity in that, and there's and having the person understand where you're coming from and why you're having to make those kind of choices. And I love the way you then said, okay, having done that now, it creates opportunities going forward to focus and have energy for those things that you're looking for. Again, that's the benefit of having a very clear strategy, having a very clear vision, having a very clear idea of what your values are. When you have all those in place, it makes it easier to filter and decide and make those kind of choices. But when you're not clear, then you don't really know what's helping or what's not helping. So again, which is again what the coaching space helps people do. Right. Okay. So I'm conscious we are over time here. So I'm just quickly, let's do this. Set up for 2024. So my introduction, my admonition to everyone is when you have a loss, recognize it as a loss. Don't try and, because I think sometimes when we try and be positive, we kind of gloss over or try and brush underneath anything negative. And that's not the aim here. The aim is to acknowledge that you've lost something or something has ended that, you've prioritized or valued in the past. So be very conscious of the fact that, yeah, this is an ending, this is a loss, and allow yourself to feel the emotion of that loss. And then beyond that, so it's a not in place of, but and what's coming. So the idea of forgiving and letting go of the past. So again, if it's something negative that's happened and just to let go and release. So you set yourself free so you can focus forward by letting go and forgiving anything that needs forgiving, if that's the context. And what this hopefully will do is make room for and expect new beginnings in 2024. So i.e., okay, this is space for other things to come in that is going to support my purpose and my focus going forward. So this was the place to then share a whole piece that may have come out for someone in terms of top to bottom. However, I'm going to kind of not do that just yet. And let's go to this bit here, because I want to see if anybody has experienced a shift just by through the reflection. So here's the point here. When you first did your title of what your, if your year were a book or a movie, what would the title of it be? Now that you've done all this reflection, does anybody look at the title they originally put out and think they want to change it? It's kind of what this time is there for. Right. So Claudette, I see the shaking of which means, yeah, I'm happy, that's it. Does anybody have one they think, oh, now that I've looked at it, I want to change it? Mariel, you've come up, so speak to me.
Yes, I was going to say dream on.
Okay.
But when I heard Claudette saying, I'm okay, it's really me, I think that would be the better one for me. And I've learned so much today from Deo and his confidence, and I want to do that. I was just thinking at the start, you know, you were saying something about get your thinking flowing. Well, at 77, mine doesn't flow very well. And also with Claudette with her hat on, I thought I didn't get the memo that we were supposed to wear a Christmas hat. But anyway, I missed that's what I missed out on that surprise today. But I'm grabbing one now.
Ah, nice. I love
snap.
that. I love that.
I don't want to miss out on anything because life is short.
Yeah, I love that.
But yes, I've
Oh, here's another one. Oh, well done.
That's what life's about. Grab every surprise that comes and just because every storm is not on the forecast. And it's how we deal with it.
I like that one. Every storm is not on the forecast.
Every storm is not on the forecast. That's a lovely way to put it.
Yeah. So let's keep going, boys and girls. I was going to say boys and girls. How can I say that at 77? You know what I mean? Just keep going and yeah. Thank you. And when you were talking about a mentor, I just have to say, Frank, you've taught me so much. You've taught me that I can do this and just keep going and look at new things and look at it differently. And in life we can achieve if we set things forward. I've had lots of experiences of doing new things this year, and I hope I can carry them with health situations. I hope I can carry it into 2024.
Wow, that's brilliant. Thank you very much for sharing that. And now we're all hatted up, right?
Oh, yeah.
You see, Claudette, you're the leader. You're the leader when it comes to
I'm a trailblazer.
Yeah, you're a trailblazer, man. You're a trailblazer. Yeah, thank you so much. Just a couple of things just to quickly finish off. We've still got some mini retreats left if anybody's interested. 3.5 hours of deep diving. Details are on the screen there. If you want to chat a bit more about it, then by all means, grab a hold of me. For me personally, 2024 is going to be a year of expansion, a year of growth, and a year of switching things up. So, and I'm going to be planning to introduce things like retreats, masterclasses, workshops, group coaching, mastermind, one-to-one coaching to support people in kind of their journey. And if you reflect on your year 2023 and you feel that you need some support to be able to make the most of 2024, then by all means, you know, get a hold of me and let's have a conversation about what that could look like and what investment that would entail. But I'm here to support everybody on their journey, and I'm happy that people are getting value and benefit from these Pportricity Live events. I think most people on this call are on my mailing list, but if you're not, maybe you're watching the recording. If you scan the QR code or go to this link here, you'll find ways of how to subscribe to the mailing list so that you'll know when these events are taking place.